What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I know spring's in the air when they start doing that. Spring is here. Spring is. Oh, look at my baby. Look at my baby. What's up, baby? Only a little bit now, just in case winter decides to come back around. Because what's crazy is Facebook. You know, Facebook that sends you back past posts, so it seems like people are actually commenting more than they are. And it was like 8 years ago, that a picture on the 19th, I believe it was, or 18th, we had like 2 feet of snow outside. So what a difference 8 years make, where it's 75 degrees out here. Anyway, winter can come back around and bite you in the ass at any point. So I'm sitting here thinking, which I do too much of, thinking about Stephen Jones and the damage that he's done with Randy Gregory. Now, here's the thing. We don't know what the Randy Gregory situation is going to be. Is Randy Gregory going to end up being DeMarcus Ware, who goes on to Denver and gets the Super Bowl, and it becomes an integral part of them getting it? Or is Randy Gregory going to be Jason Hatcher? I don't know if you guys remember Jason Hatcher or not, but in 2013, DeMarcus Ware had 6 sacks, was injured quite a bit, and seemed to be kind of a shell of himself. He was making a lot of money. The Cowboys went to him and said, "We got to cut you because you're too expensive." He goes on to Denver, goes and wins a Super Bowl ring. That same year in 2013, Jason Hatcher actually had 11 sacks. The interesting thing about Jason Hatcher that year was, if you took all the previous years before that, he averaged about 3.5 sacks a season. All of a sudden, he had one great year, had 11 sacks, goes on to Washington, and at that time, signed, I think, a $27 million contract with Washington. And immediately that next year, he settled back to where his sacks were before, like 3 sacks. And then the next year was released. And so you looked at it and said, wow, good thing the Cowboys didn't re-sign him to the big contract that he wanted. Because they actually got better on defense the next year. They went from being the 32nd ranked defense with Hatcher and D. Ware. The next year, they moved all the way up to 19th and second in taking the football away. And that was the difference of us changing defensive coaches as well, because Rod Martinelli became our defensive coordinator. Monty Kiffin had been the year before. And you can kind of see some of those parallels between Mike Nolan and Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn took guys that we didn't really think much about. He took a bunch of guys that were injured and cast-offs, guys that were cheap, guys that had underperformed for us, and he took those guys and was able to put them together. So Stephen Jones believes that's my formula for this year. Let me go ahead, I'm going to get me some cheap free agents, and we're going to let Dan Quinn work his magic. Now here's the great thing, at least about Dan Quinn. As much as Stephen Jones has done to hurt the narrative for the Dallas Cowboys and bringing players in, people don't want to negotiate with the Cowboys because you feel like they're sneaky. Nobody wants to do business with somebody that thinks they're getting screwed by them. But the Cowboys aren't the only team that will do something kind of sneaky. The Washington football team, Matt Ioannidis his agent talked to the Washington football brass and stuff about if he was going to be released or not at the combine. They allegedly said, no way, no how, we're not releasing him. You're good. In which case, the agent is not working on trying to get deals. But lo and behold, Washington ends up releasing him on Wednesday or Thursday after the legal tampering period ends, where a lot of teams have already made decisions, thus hampering his ability. And out of nowhere, now the agent's like, wait a minute, you're released? Had I known you were going to release him, I could be working on getting another deal. And this is kind of what the Cowboys ended up doing to Dez Bryant. They didn't do Dez Bryant any favors by waiting as long as they did to release him. They made it hard because a lot of teams already made their plans without him. And maybe had the Cowboys just went ahead and said, you know what, Dez, we're going to let you go now. Go get your best deal. Maybe he would have caught on with somebody before it was too late and all the money was gone. And this is the bad part about dealing with teams. The teams are always going to do something in their best interest, not necessarily in yours. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they allow you to do stuff, but more times than not, it's all about me. You're secondary. But the thing that you look at right now is the beacon of hope, the beacon of light to bring players here is people trust and love Dan Quinn. When you hear Micah Parsons saying all of these great things about Dan Quinn, that he goes beyond just being a guy who's yelling at me as a coach, that's literally just trying to get something out of me for nothing, you feel like it is a friendship. When you've heard what Bobby Wagner has said about what Dan Quinn has done for him in his career, and you have to figure that even though Dante Fowler was only there with Dan Quinn 1 year, one of the reasons why he wanted to come to the Cowboys wasn't because of the Cowboys' mystique. It certainly wasn't because I can't wait to wheel and deal with Stephen Jones. It was actually having the opportunity of playing with a coach that you like. All of us have a school teacher, a coach, somebody that you always think back was, I loved working for that guy, and I loved giving that person my all. For me, John D'Elia, my track coach, and I have to say Coach Wolfie, our offensive line coach, he was crazy. He was mean. He'd yell at you. He was always scratching his nuts. But it was something about Coach Wolf that you wanted to just give your all for, you know? It was like us against the rest of the team. And that's the thing that Dan Quinn brings. And see, part of the reason why he gets great results is those guys want to give him their all. So as we go through, and we don't necessarily get the primo players, and you can look at our defense last year, there weren't a lot of guys that you looked at and said, oh my God, man, you got studs there. You're not looking at the $15, $20 million free agents that the Cowboys signed. They were a bunch of guys that became a team, as opposed to a bunch of guys that are really good, that are just playing on ability. I hope that we can step up the talent just enough that Dan Quinn can really show us what we can do with this defense. And the only way that's going to happen is for people to want to be here and want to be part of Dan Quinn. And I hope that that is enough to be able to lure Bobby Wagner to the Cowboys. It's all we got. All we got. Well, that and Micah Parsons. But I hope y'all are having a great Sunday. Saturday. And I hope on Sunday you guys will be here for our live stream, which will be another one of our vent, i.e. bitch sessions about the Cowboys. I think I'm going to chill out here for a bit and just watch the fish swim. This has a calming effect after all this week has been. Just be one with the fish. Hope to see you guys later. Peace.